Hey, hey, thank you so much for joining another episode of Celeste the Therapist podcast. My name is Celeste. I'm a therapist from Boston. If you have never been in this podcast, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. What happens on this podcast is I talk about things that we go through and I help you kind of think about ways you can shift the way you think. I feel like we get stuck in some of the old programming. So I have this thing I started in December called the Daily Shift. Every day there's like 2-minute episodes that you get to listen to help you start your day. It's something I do every single morning. I wake up and I listen to something to feed my spirit, right? I always say on this podcast, if you're hungry, you're going to go to the refrigerator. But what are you doing when your spirit feels depleted, when you're struggling, right? These episodes that happen daily, 2 minutes out your day, can really help give your mind some new words, new literature, get rid of some of that old programming that may be stuck in your head. So that happens. And then bi-weekly, I drop a long form episode, which is what it is today. We just happen to be, if you are new here, we are in the middle of a series. And then after the series, we'll be back to bi-weekly, but of adult children of emotionally immature parents. Sometimes we have grown up in spaces where even if you weren't physically, mentally or sexually abused, sometimes your parent may not have the capacity to ask you how you were feeling or attend to your emotional needs and how that affects you as an adult. So, if you are coming in on this series in the middle, it might be helpful to go back. But we are today talking about reparenting yourself. And then next week, we're going to talk about integration and moving forward. So let's jump right into the topic. So this is episode 5 of 6. And also, if you are listening to me on audio, this is on YouTube. I try to do a visual to go along with the podcast, in case people are more visually inclined. So we're going to talk about what reparenting is and what it is not, right? That is the goal of today. So the intent for today, what reparenting means, why it often feels confusing and a little bit intimidating when you're trying to do this work, what it doesn't require, and how it starts gently, not perfectly. I think, you hear reparenting and you may think about, oh, I got to do this right. I got to do it a certain way. And nobody's perfect. We're human. So I really want to drive home the idea of compassion gently, like really being mindful of how you're framing it when you're talking to yourself. Um, so reparenting yourself is about learning to offer yourself what wasn't consistently available to you emotionally growing up, right? A lot of times, and this is, I just want to be clear. I always say this, I think it's not about blame, but it's about having an understanding. Sometimes we'll be so hard on ourselves for how we are, and we don't bring into play the fact that, oh, I may be responding this way or I may feel this way because of what happened when I was younger. And for some people, that may be like, but that was 20 years ago, but it was still a part of your experience, regardless of how long time has passed. Your system experienced it. And if you've experienced it for over and over again, unfortunately, it's become a big staple in your system. So even though 20 years later, that same thing is not happening, when you feel similar to what you felt before, your mind can register like, oh my gosh, this thing is happening again. I really want people to understand that because it's really hard to conceptualize because we're dealing with something we can't literally see. But I think if we get more in tune with ourselves, we can actually come to an understanding on being able to make those connections that we may not have made in the past before. So what does this means? Emotional safety is important. A lot of times we're not feeling emotionally safe. We're getting in relationships, intimate friendships, and we are struggling in these relationships because we don't realize it, but we're looking for that partner, that friend, that family member, that whoever to fulfill that void. When no one can fill a void, right? It's something that you have to work on. It's something that you have to work on talking to yourself about. Reparenting yourself allows for validation, right? Permission to have needs. How many times, I mean, just take a pause and think, are you somebody that struggles with asking for what you need? Are you somebody that don't acknowledge what you need? Are you somebody who don't even, you never even sat and thought to yourself, like, what do I need? For instance, I know I need solitude. I know I need time first thing in the morning. There are things that I know that I need to be okay. And if I don't put those in place, no one's going to come and check for me and say, hey, Celeste, did you take time for yourself today? Hey, Celeste, did you move your body? Hey, Celeste, did you sleep well? You know? So if nobody's coming to save you in that respect, then that means the ownership is on you, right? Not on your partner, not on anybody else. Looking, a lot of times when people be like, "Oh, well, my partner's they don't do it for me. Do what for you?" Or they'll say, they didn't give me what I need. Well, what is it that you need? A lot of times, just think about it. If you're in a relationship and you're struggling and you're feeling like you're not getting what you need out of your partner, I want you to really ask yourself, well, what is it that I need? What is it that I am looking for them for, looking at them for? And is it realistic? A lot of times, some of the things that you think you need are not realistic. And ask yourself, am I giving myself what I need? It really starts with self. Having a relationship is an added bonus, but when you can work on doing what you need for yourself, that's a game changer right there. Um, Reparenting is consistent self-attunement. So becoming really aware of your inner state to foster self-awareness, become way more emotional regulated than you have been, resilience and healthier relationships. When you work on reparenting yourself, giving yourself what you need, you'll feel emotionally safe. The validation's there. You'll have permission to have your needs met. And then you will become way more aware of what's going on internally. It's less about doing and more about relating to yourself differently, right? I relate to myself so much more better because I have done that inner work. I am very in tune to what's going on. The voice in my head when things aren't going well is a very compassionate voice. I can't have it any other way, and I think a lot of times, and I've never had people in my ear. I didn't grow up with a lot of like, you're not going to do this. I didn't grow up with a lot of people talking down to me, right? So that's not a battle that feels as heavy for some people. When I started working with people is when I knew that people talk to their kids crazy, that they call them out their name, that they tell them what they're not going to be. I didn't have that growing up. So for me, I don't have that kind of negative noise. And even if you didn't have that growing up, sometimes you could find yourself having that negative noise because of some mistakes or because of friends, right? Because of family, because of the way things played out. You may not realize how you started to relate to the situation versus like taking a step back and looking at the situation and be like, this didn't work out, but what can I do, right? A lot of times we'll start to over relate to a situation and we could find ourselves really struggling and thinking like this is what it is. Your inner world reflects your outer world. If you have a red Toyota, every day you're going to see that red Toyota. There's a lot of cars that drive the road, but you're always going to see the red Toyota. It's always going to stick out because your mind is seeing it literally every day. So if you are speaking negative over your life, if you're not empowering yourself, if you're looking at everything as like, this sucks, this is never going to be okay, your mind is only going to show you the possibility to make sure everything stays sucky and make sure nothing goes in your favor. Like literally, that's how it works. Your inner world. So what is happening in your inner world? Right? That's the thing I want you to really challenge yourself to think about. Like, what is going on in my inner world? What reparenting is not, right? Because we talked about what it is. I really need you to understand what it's not. So it's not about trying to fix your parents. That ship has sailed, right? If your parents are still alive and you are struggling in that department with them, a lot of times when you become more aware of what's going on, remember your parents are human too. It is a choice to have a relationship with them. I think a lot of times, especially in Black families, we are taught like, oh, but that's your mother, or that's your father, or that's your grandmother, or that's your brother, when they may be causing harm. If they are causing harm, yes, that is your grandmother, your mother, your father, your brother, your sister. But who's going to be there to pick up the pieces if you don't put boundaries and things in place, right? And if you want to choose to still have a relationship with that party that is you're struggling with, you need to make sure you're doing it with boundaries and you got to make sure you're caring for yourself. That's important. When we think about what reparenting is not, it's not about pretending that the past didn't hurt. We have to start being honest with ourselves about what didn't work well, you know. And I don't think that people are intentionally lying about what didn't go well. I'll ask people, okay, like what was your upbringing? Oh, it was good. Everything was fine, you know, and I believe that people believe that. But when I start to dig deeper, I'll learn that they were alone all the time, that there was some a lot of name calling, a lot of abuse that took place that I think you gloss over because you look at what you want it to be like. But then, as you become an adult and you're struggling, you're trying to figure out what's wrong, everything was fine. Everything may not have been fine, right? And sometimes it wasn't about the home, it was about in the school system, it was about the bullying, right? And maybe it wasn't about the school system, maybe it was about your first relationship that kind of set the tone for where things are. Being mindful of those things that have come up. And yes, it may have been 20, 30, 40 years ago, but at the end of the day, you still experience those moments. Those moments are still a part of your life because the feeling will come up and your system does not know you're not 15. It doesn't know, oh, Celeste is 43 now, but the feeling feels the same. And so in those moments, you got to make sure you're loving yourself even more. It's not about doing everything alone for those people that are very independent, not used to getting support or asking for help, being mindful of that. And it's also not about being perfect. If you are struggling with perfectionism and things have to be a certain way, I really want you to be mindful that it's okay if it doesn't go a certain way. Sometimes the stress is the way you're framing it. It's not even about what other people are saying or doing. It's literally about how you are framing it in your mind. So really being mindful that you're not in this space of trying to make everything perfect. So reparenting isn't self-purification, but it's about the self-connection, getting more in tune and connected to yourself. You're doing what your parent may not have had the capacity to do, and that's okay, right? Learning how to release, let go of what didn't happen. Um, and when you do that, you'll be surprised at how much healing starts to come forth and how you can actually start to move forward because you're no longer stuck and feeling like somebody owes you something. A lot of times you may not realize it, but some people may be looking for that sorry, or I need you to say this is what happened, and that may not come. And I don't want my healing to be contingent upon somebody apologizing to me. I don't want my healing to be contingent upon someone um, acknowledging what they did to me, right? It would be nice to get the sorry, but I'm not waiting for it because I'm putting my healing in my own hand. Will Smith had a line that said, "What happened to you may not have been your fault, but your healing is always going to be your responsibility." And I think if you take the healing back in your hands, whether it was a parent, a friend, a family member, a coworker, whoever it was, right? If you can take your healing back into your hands and recognize that, you know what, moving forward, it's my responsibility to be okay. That's like a game changer for you. And it can allow you to like really release, let your shoulders down, and kind of move about life a little differently. Um, why does reparenting feel so hard? As we're um in the subject of talking about like reparenting yourself, I want you to know that it's going to feel hard to do this work. And the reason why it's going to feel hard because you may have learned to abandon yourself, right? In the earlier episodes, we talked about this, how some people have grown up. You may not have been taught how to notice your needs. I was not taught how to notice my needs, right? I didn't know that the physical body was related to the mental health and how sometimes our body will give us signs we're not okay before we do. I'm very much in tune with my body now. I can pay attention to those moments that come. I just had a really bad flare. I got some inflammation in my eyes. I had a really bad flare I was working on some deals at the end of the year, and I didn't think I was stressed, but my eye, the inflammation that is it's the pain that I got, I can feel like, okay, this is stress right now. It had happened in my back and my stomach. My eye is a new thing, but every time I'm feeling something, I'll be like, "Ooh, what's going on? When did that start?" Like I just become this scientist when it comes to myself because I'm with myself 24/7. So I want to know what's going on and I want to pay attention to the signs because the doctors, unfortunately, are just treating the symptoms. They're not really, if you have a doctor that does this is great, but they're not always going to go deep into what's going on with you. And you have to make sure you're doing that for yourself. Another reason why reparenting can feel so hard is because a lot of times care came with conditions, right? It wasn't just I love you. It was like, what are you going to do for me? And so if you're mindful of this stuff, when it comes up and it feels hard, understand that this is a part of the process. The same way if you broke your leg and the doctor was like, you got to do PT, during PT it's going to hurt. You don't stop the process because you want to make sure you get off them crutches and out of the wheelchair so that you can walk better, right? So you're going to keep doing the PT. You're going to keep doing the things that's going to allow your leg to like heal better. The same thing that happens with this emotional work, this reparenting of ourselves. It's going to be hard, but on the other side of it, you're going to walk a little different. When care wasn't consistent, receiving it, even from yourself, can be unfamiliar and unsafe. Your system is doing what it's designed to do. If it has not been taught what noticing your feelings feel like, what understanding how your body's responding feels like, if your system is not used to it, it's going to feel like it's a weird thing. Like, what are we doing? Right. So I just want to normalize the fact that it's not going to feel okay. It's going to feel very uncomfortable, but also that is happening because this is a new experience for you. So discomfort doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It means it's something new, right? Discomfort doesn't mean I am doing something wrong. It means I am doing something new. If you are struggling with discomfort, I need you to like write this affirmation down somewhere. You know, if you listen to the daily shifts, I'm always reframing it from you to I so that you can start saying that. So when you hear those daily shift episodes and you are hearing the I am statement, if it resonates for you, I need you to like write that down, make it your screensaver, put that quote somewhere so that you can see it every day. That is important because now you're giving your mind a new outlook on life. What does reparenting actually look like in real life, right? We talked about what reparenting is, we talked about what it's not. And now I want to talk about what it really looks like. And it's very simple. You know, if you are new to this podcast, I try to make everything accessible where it's kind of like I can start this process today. I don't need money. I don't need status. I started this podcast July 2nd, 2018, because I wanted to make healing accessible for everyone. There's always a price tag that tends to go along with things. And I want to give people the option to look at what they have to start where they are in this process, right? That is why I do this work. And as you are listening to this and working on the things that you want to work on, yeah, money would allow for a lot things to go smoother when it comes to the processes that you're trying to implement. But if you do not have it, I do not want you to be discouraged. I want you to tell yourself, like, you know what? I don't have that right now. I can't do this right now. But what I can do is X, Y, and Z, right? That is important. That is something where your mind will learn how to reframe in the moment and not like allow what you don't have to stop you from doing and getting what you need to get out of life. So, reparenting looks like in real life, it's noticing when you're hungry and exhausted and overwhelmed, right? These things I notice a lot of times people be like, oh, I spazzed out and I was probably hungry. You was probably hungry or were you hungry? I was hungry. Well, why didn't you know you was hungry, right? Your battery life on your phone, you recognize when that's getting low, you look for a charger real quick to charge it, right? You can't miss out on your lifeline. And so we do that with actual things, right? The tank in our gas tank, if it's going to be low, we are going to the gas station before it gets too low, or we're going to be on the side of the road waiting for somebody to come and pick us up and give us more gas. Why can't we do that with ourselves? Why can't you do that with yourself? Why can't you start to pay attention to what you need? If you're exhausted, why are you still saying yes to the person that's asking you for a favor? Oh, because you feel bad? Okay, so you feel more bad for them than you do for yourself. These are things I need you to really start asking yourself. It's okay if you feel bad for that person, but you need you to be okay because if something happens to you, then that person is just going to ask somebody else. And they don't know to not ask you because you always say yes, even if you can't do it. So, noticing hunger, exhaustion when you're overwhelmed, this is what reparenting looks like, right? Speaking to yourself with kindness instead of criticism. Oh, why did you do that? What's wrong with you? Oh, okay. I messed up today, but it's okay because tomorrow's a new day. I'm going to look at what I did and how I can like do it differently next time. That sounds a lot better than what's wrong with you? Why did you do that? That's not even your voice. That's the voice of all the things that's happened in the past, right? So that is what reparenting looks like. Allowing yourself to rest without earning it. You don't have to earn rest. You need rest. Rest needs to be a part of your repertoire, part of your system. Rest is important, right? Learning how to just rest without feeling guilty about it can replenish you. And what reparenting looks like is saying this. I want to hear this more. I want you to hear this more with yourself. Oh, this makes sense why I feel this way. I say that all the time. Oh, like I understand why this feels this way because I'm constantly making connections. And because I'm able to notice and allow myself to see that, okay, this makes sense why I'm feeling this way the the way that I feel in those moments aren't lingering, right? The feeling overwhelmed or feeling anxious about something, it's not lingering because it's kind of like, oh, this is what's going on. Okay, so I understand. I may still be struggling, but it doesn't feel as heavy. So reparenting, it starts with noticing what's going on, not trying to correct it. I'll say that again. Reparenting is about noticing. In the Daily Shift episodes, I'm always talking about start noticing what's going on, right? I'm not asking you to change anything. Just become aware of what's happening because the more you become aware, I promise you the change is going to start happening. But it's because we're not aware, we're just going through the motions. All right, so that was reparenting, right? Really quick, right? Let's do a quick body check-in, and I want you to think about this too on a regular basis because this topic is all up in our system. So I want you to pause, ask yourself, like, what are you feeling right now? Like, what are you feeling? Hearing all that, nervous, excitement, whoa, I can't believe that happened, and shock, you know? What are you feeling right now in this moment? And then where are you feeling it in your body, right? The body gives us signs that we're not okay. The Wellness Center, we have somatic classes that are taking place monthly. And next month, we will start having some of those classes online as well. So if it's something you're interested in trying, we have a trauma-informed yoga that we're going to start online. Um, It'd be great to start to notice and pay attention. Even if the answer is I don't know, that still counts, right? Because you're taking a moment to pause. So it's okay if you don't know. It's quite okay. Pausing is important. Um, so trying to do this check in with yourself on a regular basis is going to be key. All right, let's talk about homework assignment, right? What do I want you to take away? What do I want you to think about as you are moving on in this week? And remember, you can always go back to this episode. If you've taken notes, I always encourage people to take notes. Go back to the notes, right? The more you read it, the more you see it, the more it becomes applicable and you can apply it to your life. Pause and ask yourself, what do I need right now? That's what I want you to start doing. Is pausing to ask yourself, what do you need right now? I want you to also validate an emotion instead of minimizing it, right? Don't minimize. Stop minimizing like how you feel. You feel how you feel. I don't care if people have it worse. This is what you feel right now in this moment. And even if it doesn't make sense why you feel that way, understand that it may be something from your childhood that created this intensity in the feeling that you're having. So please stop judging yourself. Please stop being mean to yourself for how you feel, even if it feels like it doesn't make sense. You may not consciously understand what's going on. Offer yourself reassurance during discomfort, right? So when you're finding yourself feeling uncomfortable, tell yourself, I don't feel as comfortable as I could, but it's going to be okay. You can even take your hand, if you're watching me on YouTube, put it over your heart, your other hand, put it over your stomach, and just say, take a deep breath and say it's gonna be okay, right? That little voice in your head, imagine you're with yourself 24/7, right? So that little voice in your head being so compassionate and powerful. Do you know how amazing you start to feel when you are speaking kind to yourself? I don't care if nobody's ever spoke kind to you. I don't care if people have spoke death into you and not life into you. There's ways to recalibrate your system and learn how to be okay. I don't ever want you to think that you cannot be okay. You can absolutely be okay. So it's going to feel awkward or unnatural at first. That's really okay, as you're doing these homework assignments. But awareness comes before ease, right? When you become aware, eventually you'll start to feel at ease about things. So reparenting, these are the last things I want to leave you with, right? Reparenting yourself isn't about becoming someone else. It's about finally offering yourself the care you always deserved, right? And the next and final episode, we're going to talk about integration, how these insights turned into live changed over time. So integration and moving forward is the last part of the series. If you have been a part of the series from the beginning, let's clap them hands. Thank you so much for being a part of this series. It's been my pleasure doing them. If you want to follow me, right? You can follow me literally everywhere. So celestatherapist.com is where the podcast lies, information about me. And then my wellness center, stwyt.com, and that just stands for shift in the way you think. Stwyt.com, you can find everything about the wellness center. If you are in the Stoughton, Mass area, sign up for a class. We have 5 classes that run every month. Trauma-informed yoga, sound healing, mindful yin. We also have a restorative class and a rest and recharge class, right? I've taken all of these classes and they are all like amazing. I have wellness providers that are providing these classes, and the goal is to get more in tune with your body, to teach your nervous system how to relax. Let's face it, there's a lot happening around the world. Relaxing feels like a foreign thing right now. But I don't want you to succumb to the movement and the ways that society operates. I really want you to think about, how can I move away from how society's operating, and how can I give myself what I need in this moment right now where I'm at. So I just want to thank you so much for rocking with me. Thank you for listening. Thank you for running up the Daily Shift episodes. Remember, if any of the episodes speak to you and you think somebody might get some comfort from it, make sure you share it with them. And until next time, beautiful people, I will talk to you later.